to Get Me a Library. Today I am going to be reviewing a book called The Disappearances by Emily Bain Murphy. Every 7 years, something disappears in the remote town of Stirling. People's reflections, the stars in the sky, the ability to dream. Aila realises that her mother may be to blame for the curse, that some mysteries are buried very deep and some secrets won't stay hidden. And one young woman's desire to uncover the truth may not be enough to save the people of Stirling from the past. A beautifully told story of love, loss and finding the truth, no matter how difficult that may be. The blurb is not wrong when it says a beautifully told story. This book is so well written and so beautifully written that I fell in love with reading this book. It had a slow start, I would admit. It started to get really good and I could not put it down for the life of me. I found it really hard to not read it while I was at work because all I wanted to do was sit and read this book. If I could be paid to read books, it would be the best job ever. Okay, so Aila and her brother Miles go to this place called Stirling because their mother has just passed away. It's in 1943 and her father is in the war, in the army, and he has to go back and there is nowhere for them to go. Her best friend Cass is house is too overcrowded with her sisters, so there's no place for them to stay other than this place called Stirling, which is where her mother was brought up. And that's where her mother's best friend Matilda lives. So Aila and her brother Miles go to this place called Stirling, and there they uncover the mystery of Stirling and all the disappearances that have been happening. So like the blurb says, people's reflections, the stars in the sky, the ability to dream have all disappeared. There are other curses that happen in the book. Obviously I don't want to tell you them because I don't want to spoil it, but it seems to be that every 7 years on the same day, on the 29th of October, I think it was, the disappearance will happen. And their town Stirling hosts this fair fete thing, like a harvest fair, where the other towns, there's 4 towns including Stirling, are around, and they host this fair and they do these sort of like sports things like dancing, they do fencing, they do this thing called stars, and whoever wins they then host it the following year. So this year it's in Stirling, and on the day of the fair, which is every disappearance day, this one happens to be the 7-year one, and something will disappear. So it could be anything. I don't want to say things that it could be just in case I tell you the thing that it is, but anything could disappear like the stars in the sky. So Aila and her brother start to notice these things, but they haven't been told about them. Nobody knows apart from the people in Stirling. So eventually this Matilda does tell them that there's these disappearances happening in Stirling, and Aila, she brings it on herself to find out why it's cursed. So the people in the town believe that it has something to do with Aila's mum. They believe that because she left Stirling and was able to have the ability to see the stars again, to, you know, get away from this curse, they then believe that her mother is the reason that the curse has come upon. But obviously Aila doesn't know whether her mum did cause it or not, so she takes it upon herself, and Miles as well, to try and figure out why her mother left Stirling and if she does have anything to do with the curse. And there's a lot of Shakespeare in it, but it's not like to be or not to be, that is the question. Like, people don't talk like that or anything like that, but there are references to his plays and the poetry within his plays, and I quite like that aspect of it. I mean, I do like Shakespeare and I do like his plays, and you know, when they've been turned into films and stuff like Romeo and Juliet, but I've never been like a complete Shakespeare oh my god fan. It's not been in my top 10 of any of the authors or plays or anything, but it's definitely in there somewhere. I do like it, and I don't remember doing it at school, but I did do other poetry and stuff, and I do like it, and it does excite me when I, you know, hear one of his plays and stuff. And this book actually made me love Shakespeare a whole lot more than I did before. So I'm not going to give you any spoilers to this book, because it's one of those books where if I give you the slightest hint of a spoiler, it could spoil the rest of the book. But there are some characters in the book that are very good. There's some ones that Aila then becomes friends with. Matilda's son Will is in the book, who she's staying with, and he's a good friend. And I will give you, it's not a spoiler, but it could be a slight spoiler, only tiny, because it just tells you some of the characters. But it's not a spoiler that will spoil the book for you. I'm just giving you some of the characters because I want to give you a little bit more to this video than me just telling you to read it, because it was really nice. So there's a guy called Will, there's a girl called Bass, there's a boy called George, and a girl called Eliza. Now Eliza's sort of like the girl that doesn't like Aila because she likes Will, and obviously at this point, you know, Aila doesn't like Will or anything like that. It's just a guy that she's staying with because she's staying with his parents. But yeah, there are some decent characters in it. She becomes friends with this Bass and George. They get quite close. All of them are all good friends apart from Eliza. So yeah, there are some really good characters in the book, and they all get together in the end to try and solve this curse and what happened. But that's the end of the spoiler, because it's only a tiny one. It's only giving you some of the characters' names and stuff. But I like that this book was set in the 1940s, early 1940s, and it turns out that this girl is actually the same age as my grandmother. So it was quite sweet to actually read this book, and then when you realised how old she was and that she was the same age as my grandmother, I started to believe and think that it could have been my grandmother's time, and it could have been my grandmother in the story, because it was her time in the 1940s when, you know, because she would have been 17, the same age as Aila. So yes, my nan is old. But yeah, it's really, really nice, and obviously because her mother has died, there are some emotional sadness in the book, and it does make you question and does make you think. It's quite sad really. You don't actually know everybody because everyone has their secrets. I'm not saying that, you know, your parents do have big secrets or anything like that, and whatever, but her mum certainly did have a secret. So yes, that is my book review on The Disappearances by Emily Bain Murphy. It was definitely a beautifully told story. It did have the love, the loss and finding the truth, and it was difficult at times because you did relate to the character only because you put yourself in her shoes and you thought, I wouldn't like that to happen to me, or I want to find this curse. And it was a bit like a mystery because I wanted to know what was causing this curse, and I had my feelings and my doubts, and I was like, I didn't know. And then when you find out what did actually cause the curse and why, you start to see the book unravel itself, like and it was so exciting to find out what caused the curse and why, because I don't know if this is a spoiler, but when somebody causes a curse or creates a curse, this could be in any film or any book or whatever you've seen, TV show or even in real life, when someone causes something, you think it's just them. But actually, you'll realise in this book that whatever caused this curse actually didn't cause that curse entirely, because something else caused that curse. So that is the biggest spoiler I'm going to give you without actually telling you what the spoiler is. So try this book. It was really, really good. Again, with a Kindle, you might be able to get a sample. Remember, I've told you that the book is slow to start with, so perhaps a sample won't be the best thing for you because it will probably show you the first few chapters when it is slow. I think it gets to probably the, I don't know, like chapter 11 or before that, when you start to actually get into the book more. It's probably when she actually starts school and you start to see the curse come into play. But yes, really, really good book. I got it in my subscription box that I get called Book Box Club, and I will be doing a unboxing for September's box, which is going to be around the 15th. I think I normally get the box, but as soon as I get it, I will do an unboxing for it, and you can see what you get in the box. But if you haven't got the subscription box, Book Box Club, it is $7.99 and it's by King Children's Books, and you can probably get it from like Waterstones or WH Smith's or online. So yeah, it's about $7.99, and I would say it was definitely worth $7.99. I know I didn't pay $79.99. I paid more because of the box that I get, but I would say it would definitely be worth $7.99. So that's all for this week. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye bye. Have a nice week.